Hello, how are you today? Well, you can see we have blue skies and clouds, and all day we've wondered if it was going to rain, and it hasn't, so maybe it won't. And I've been messing with the animals, my wife has too, and today I finished up some tax questions. It's that time of year, and I just got discovery in a case, and so I played around with that a little bit to familiarize myself. So now the rest of the day is mine, and I'm taking a walk, and I have a couple ideas I'd like to share with you. Number one is Garland. Garland announced a big and terrible conspiracy involving fentanyl, and this conspiracy has been going on 8 years, and it involves the El Chapo family, and he's been in custody. That is, the father has been. And if you may remember how Sean Penn went and visited him, and that's how the DEA found him. Now, I'm a firm believer that when you start an indictment, you should actually have people in the dock. You arrested people and so forth. So if you charge a conspiracy, you usually keep it sealed until you can get your hands on these people. And that's apparently not how we're doing business now. 3 of the 4 people named in the indictment that Garland thought was so sensational yesterday are fugitive, well, until the day they were declared defendants. I suppose you could knock on their door in Mexico, and I'm sure that's what we're going to try. And we're also offering multi-million-dollar rewards to people who will give us an indication where the 4 sons, they have 1 son, the 4 sons of El Chapo are. So one's in custody, I presume, on another charge, but the other 3 are still free at large. So what is our effect on drug trafficking? Well, not much if the three brothers are out there and it's continuing to go on. So why do we hear about this? Because it appears to me to have no effect on the traffic and fentanyl or anything else. And they talk so much about fentanyl, I think it's not true. I don't mean that there isn't a market for it in America. Our demand has a country that's full of interest in doing all sorts of things that make no lawful sense. But be that as it may, this indictment yesterday is more like a crime writer's story about what's going on, up to and including that they have wild cats devouring, I don't know, law enforcement officers. You know, how do you get testimony like that? Who tells you that stuff? Maybe a person wants to cooperate with the government. Oh yeah, and you know, they have lions and tigers ripping people apart in Mexico. Maybe they do, but the only reason to say that is to get a storyline in the leading papers. And if you follow the story in probably any paper you've read, you got to read down to the last several inches to find out that they're talking about people that they haven't arrested. They're not around. They don't even know where they are. And I guess following Sean Penn around is going to help them find these guys. So why would Garland do this? Because he's not doing anything. He is a figurehead for the Department of Justice. He is not our chief law enforcement officer. And so they staged this big thing yesterday, which amounts to a big yawn when you actually dig down into it. Yes, we have a problem because America is hung up on drugs. And we have a government that exploits the fear of people without doing much about it, including this indictment yesterday. Okay, so that's enough for this former federal prosecutor who was in a junk unit. I say former, I used to say recovering federal prosecutor, because you never get over having the kind of power and authority you have as a young man as a federal prosecutor. And so when we indicted people, we had people in hand, and we unsealed the indictment just before we arrested them. Changing subjects on the question of the abortion pill. Well, we have a stay in place now, but it's going to the Supreme Court. And as we see the trend that we're fighting, we have a trend that's working our way, and we have a trend that's working against us. And the trend against us appears to be to limit the rights of various people, women certainly, and that's what the abortion pill is all about. But Next up is going to be birth control. Who knows where they'll take it. But we also see the children. We're going to zero in on children in school, and we're going to find out, we're going to find out things that's nobody's business. And we're going to censor people who say don't discriminate. And there's literally a case that came down in the Fourth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals that encompasses Virginia and other places that said something like that. And they said, you got to respect the rights of conservatives to be bigots, you know? Come on, that's America. Free speech. Some people don't get what our system is about. I mean, if you start with a couple of the early principles, equal rights for all, every person gets a vote. How can you have equal rights for all if you can discriminate against somebody because they're transgender or they're black or they have a different religion? That's not equal rights for all. Our government, from its inception, has had a problem. And we have dealt with it, and we've made improvements. But we are leaping backwards in a period of time when there's a corruption in our political institutions like no time in my life. And it includes misconduct toward others, unequal treatment of different people, lying publicly and under oath, trying to fix elections rather than recognizing that we have fair elections, slandering them. So what? So we can change our government from a republic with democratically elected representatives to what? Potentates and dictators? I'm afraid so. And then, in the category of fear, let's go to the crazy governor of Florida, DeSantis. He's now concerned about digital currency. First of all, there's no discussion about digital currency. But when there is, given our trend in technology, we're probably going to have to deal with it in some way or other. We're going to have to protect privacy. We're going to have to assure that it works. When you can't protect our so-called classified secrets, maybe we're not ready for digital currency. But we have DeSantis, I guess in order to be noticed, shouting and screaming against digital currency. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's lost his mind, is out there saying that digital currency means financial slavery. Now, on the same day that DeSantis in Florida was upset about digital currency, he thought, you can't have an abortion after 6 weeks. Now, ladies, young and old, they can't always tell in 6 weeks. So this is a guise to prohibit abortions by the facts that prevail in a woman's cycle. This is America now. Now, among the fun things that are coming up, on Monday we're having the start of the Dominion trial. That's the case in which Dominion, a software company, was accused falsely by all sorts of things, by Trump and by Trump's associates, Crazy Rudy, Sidney, all these people, and the people at Fox who knew what they were saying was false, and they still put it on the air. That's that lawsuit. Now, the court has decided that a number of things that they told were lies, were false, were untrue. And as recently as this week, additional evidence has been uncovered that shows that the head of Fox is also a member of Fox News, and this information was withheld. And Rudy Giuliani made a tape recording basically saying that, we really don't have the goods on Dominion. And the judge is appointing a special master to see if the court has been told lies in the course of this action. And is the Pope Catholic? I mean, come on. If that's what Fox News is about and has been, whatever brand they ever had, they don't have it anymore. And that's what this trial is in part about. The judge has removed certain issues from the jury, and under the case Times against Sullivan and other First Amendment cases, Fox is going to have to figure out how it defends against the notion that they did this without malice, and I think it's pretty strong that they did it with malice when you get into all the emails, text messages, and testimony, and that or that they publish recklessly in reckless disregard of the truth. These are kind of the tests that will be applied in a much more defined and disciplined way than I've just summarized them. This would be my introductory lecture if somebody wanted me to talk about dominion. I'm a little surprised at two things. The judge also made rulings against dominion in this sense about evidence, that the court doesn't want to hear anything about January the 6th, but these lies, that's what they were about. Okay, so maybe that's a reach. But the other thing that the court doesn't want to hear about are the threats to people at Fox to tell a different story. And there's one producer who has not only said that she was threatened, she hired counsel and she's suing Fox for the threats that she received. And you might say, so how is that relevant? Well, it's evidence of consciousness of guilt if you're trying to hide what really happened. So if January 6th is not to be considered, I think the Delaware judge has perhaps made a mistake in keeping out the threats and coercion to people. Now, the judge may be saying things like, I had one judge once say this to me. He said, you got enough evidence, John? And it was before a jury and at a break. And the judge and I got along well, but I said to him, if you were in the jury, that might be okay, but I don't know what the jurors are thinking. And he put his hand on my shoulder at a break in the absence of the jury with the defense counsel around me. And he said, well, you'll figure it out. You don't have to do more than that. So the judge may be trying to make a balance, having seen these documents, which are huge. And Dominion has a website that has all the critical documents in the case. And in terms of lawyering, this is one of the finest lawyering jobs I've seen in my life in terms of a big, complex case. And it's a very challenging case because it's hard to prove malice, which is what the burden is on Dominion to show that Fox had malice, and or they recklessly disregarded the truth. Now, this case is unusual, like most of the cases that come within the atmosphere of Trump, because we have so much public information about what they knew and what they decided not to do, and statements by their on-air correspondents, which I don't know if that, well, certainly they have a legitimate stance, and I think without being too dangerous, not knowing what's going to happen at the trial, that enough has been said that's going to go against Fox at the end. But it'll be a real struggle until that point. So that's what I got to say today. I'm not among trees. I'm among a nice road here. And so I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.